Marriages don't always die in one single day of drama, doom, or destructive darkness. Rather, what happens is that marriages die daily, slowly, and deliberately if marriage killers are not killed or kept away from the marriage. In this video, we're going to look at 7 marriage killers that you must kill. The first marriage killer that most marriages need to kill before it's too late is constant money fights or constant fights about money. What does that mean? Constant fight about money doesn't mean that you're always broke in your pocket. Constant money fight most times means that you are broke in your plan. People who have less money may be fighting less about money than people who have much more money. You can have all the money in the world and you still fight about money. And you'll be wondering, why is it that we fight about money? And people who have less money than we do don't fight about money. The reason is some people may have less money, actually much less money, but they're very strong, they are very rich with planning, with budgeting, with knowing what to spend, with knowing what to save, with knowing when to save it, how to invest. A lot of people fight for money constantly, not because they don't have enough, but because they don't have any plan. They have no budget, so they just spend and spend and spend until they spend themselves into trouble, they spend themselves into a deficit, they spend themselves into a quarrel, into an argument. The cure to constant money fight is not more money. Let me say that again. The cure to constant money fight is not more money. The cure is to have a better plan for money. What should we spend? How much do we make? How do we budget it? What are we going to spend on fuel? What are we going to spend on food? What are we going to spend on rent? What are we going to spend on clothes? What are we going to spend on eating out? If you have a plan, a budget on what to spend, you will know this is how much we make, what we can afford to spend, this is what we must save, this is what we don't even have to touch at all. We can't do this because we cannot accommodate that. Most people stop fighting about money when they have a budget, when they have a plan, what we are going to save, what we are going to spend, what we must do another month or another year. If you don't have this plan, it means you have planned to quarrel, and constant quarreling about money wears down your marriage. The second point that kills marriages that we must be careful about is infidelity, both emotional infidelity and physical infidelity. An overwhelming percentage of marriages that suffer from infidelity don't survive, and the ones that survive struggle consistently, persistently. An overwhelming percentage of marriages that go through infidelity don't survive infidelity, and among the ones that survive, they struggle persistently. So you need to bulletproof your marriage from infidelity by being careful about behaviors that breed infidelity, that behaviors that breed infidelity, that behaviors that encourage infidelity. When you are in the church, when you are in the gym, when you are at work, anywhere you are, you need to be very wary about these behaviors that breed infidelity. The biggest place where infidelity is breeding is workplace. Your workplace is the biggest place that breeds infidelity in your marriage, in your relationship. So you need to be careful about those behaviors at your workplace that can breed infidelity. For instance, the casual phone calls, the casual coffee together, the casual compliments. You could cross the line and become something else. A lot of people say opposite sex friendships. Opposite sex is my best friend, is my friend, we're just friends. Most times, just friends over time shift and become another thing. And most times people are not careful enough to know when just friends becomes something else. And then a lot of people who are married are too close to their exes. If you are married, you can't be close to your exes because exes can explode. And when they explode, your marriage explodes with it. You are married, you can't afford to be close. You can't afford to have phone numbers, emails of your exes and say, I will never call them. I'm just keeping the number. On a day that you are weak, on a day that you are off guard, you could call people you're not supposed to call, send emails to people you're not supposed to send emails to, go on social media to check people. So you're not supposed to have their social media handles, you're not supposed to have their email IDs, you're not supposed to have their phone numbers, you're not supposed to be talking to people that talk to them. And then because exes have exploded so many marriages. So you need to be careful about exes, stay away from exes. You need to be careful about behaviors that breed infidelity at work, at church, at the gym, or at any party, any place else. You must do everything to bulletproof your marriage from these behaviors that breed infidelity, emotional infidelity, physical infidelity, because if you don't do that, they will destroy your marriage. The next marriage killer that you must kill before it kills your marriage is constant criticism. Some marriages are living in constant criticism. It's either the man is criticizing the woman or the woman is criticizing the man. Constant feedback is held in every marriage, but constant criticism is harmful in every marriage. You see, the difference is feedback addresses something. Criticism attacks your character. I'm going to say that again. Feedback addresses behavior. Criticism attacks your character. The problem with constant criticism is when you criticize your spouse, then your spouse starts to think, maybe it's not what I did that you are criticizing or that you think is wrong. Maybe it's me. When you criticize your wife constantly, your wife starts to think or begins to think, maybe you're not criticizing my behavior or my action or even my character. Maybe you are criticizing me. Maybe you don't think my behavior is wrong. Maybe you think I am wrong. And so it begins to trigger defensiveness. Before you say anything, they are not listen to what you're saying. They're thinking about how to defend themselves. And criticism creates distance. If you criticize and criticize and criticize, you create distance between you and your spouse. And then there could be resentment. When you are criticizing every time, you create resentment and bitterness, which also breaks down the marriage slowly, daily, but surely. The marriage is breaking down because bitterness does not bring intimacy, does not help intimacy. So constant criticism is a sure way to destroy any marriage. So it's one thing you must kill before it kills your marriage. Constant criticism is a killer of marriages. The fourth marriage killer we must address is comparison. Comparison means comparing your wife or your husband with other men or other women that you meet at work, that you meet in the church, that you meet on the neighborhood, or even social media. Or sometimes even your exes. Some people compare their wives or their husbands with their ex-boyfriend, ex-wife, ex-husband. So comparison means you are not comparing my today to my tomorrow. You are comparing me to other people. You are comparing me to your ex-wife, your ex-husband, your ex-boyfriend, your ex-girlfriend. You are comparing me to your colleague at work. And when you start to compare your spouses to other people, they will never measure up because they are two different people, two different individuals from different backgrounds. Your husband or your wife is not supposed to be compared with the other husband or the other man or your boss at work or your pastor. Some people compare their pastor and say, you don't pray like the pastor, you don't read Bible like the pastor, he is not the pastor. Or you say, you don't talk like my colleague in the office, or you don't talk like my boss, or you don't drive like him, or you don't do this. Some people will not tell you who they're comparing you with, but they know who they're comparing you with. And you will never measure because you are not those people. You cannot compare two things. You are supposed to compare my today with my tomorrow. Have I improved today against yesterday? Not comparing me with another person. Comparison kills marriages because the person you are comparing will never measure up, will never be good enough, will never be what you want because you want them to be what other people are and they will never be what other people are. And so you start to look at them lower and lower or start to belittle them, and that ruins the marriage. The fifth marriage killer that we must kill before the killer of marriages is poor communication. Marriages that are communication poor are poor marriages. Marriages that are communication rich are generally richer marriages. In other words, if you communicate very well, your marriage improves. If you communicate poorly, your marriage does not improve. Your marriage gets worse. Poor communication is assuming. Good communication is asking. Don't assume. Ask. Don't attack. Ask. Don't bottle things up, bring them up. You see, if you run away from difficult conversations in marriage, that's poor communication. Poor communication is not just shouting or hitting the door, refusing not to talk, silent treatment. No, you could be talking, but you're not talking in the right way. If you are shouting or if you are listening to defend yourself, not to understand your partner, that's poor communication. There are different things that are poor communication that we don't know to be poor communication. It's a skill set. If you find out that you are married, the skills for communication are very poor. You need to acquire the necessary skills. You need to upgrade your skills, your communication skills, and they are not very difficult to do. You need to get some courses, get some books, listen to some videos that talk about communication in marriage and upgrade your communication skills because these are skills that you may not be born with. All of us are not born with communication skills. Some people are not good communicators and nobody knows what is in your mind except you tell them. Of course, prophets or maybe people that are like prophets can know what is in your mind. Most times your partner will not know what is in your mind except you tell them what is in your mind. So assuming that they should know what you want, assuming that they should know how you want it, assuming they should know when you want it is actually poor communication skill. So communication skill, if not addressed, can kill any marriage, even good marriage. The sixth marriage killer that we must talk about is chronic anger. And chronic anger is not occasional frustration. Anybody can be frustrated occasionally and maybe lose their temper. That's not chronic anger. Chronic anger is a pattern that is reoccurring that makes the marriage feel like a war zone. So every time there's shouting, every time there's quarreling, every time there's argument, every time there's violence. Chronic anger drives the bulk of domestic violence in marriages, which actually sometimes could lead to injuries or even death in partners. A lot of people have killed people in their marriages, and maybe a man kills a woman kills a man. Most times it doesn't happen from a neutral or a calm position. It happens from somebody who's already heightened or agitated. It's already anger, and this anger has been something that's been occurring. Sometimes they are violent with their hands, sometimes they're violent with weapons. So chronic anger drives the bulk, the overwhelming percentage of domestic violence in marriages when it is not managed, when it is not taken care of, when it is not addressed. And so if there is anger in your marriage, if anger is an issue, sometimes it's unfortunate the two people that are involved in a marriage have anger issues. Sometimes it's one person who has anger issues and the other person is learning how to manage it. Whichever way it is, if there is chronic anger that makes your marriage feel like a war zone, that people hear your voice when you start, and even the children are scared when you start, everybody knows that, look, it has started again. And that's what people say. Because chronic anger, when it is not addressed, can kill any marriage, even the best of marriage. The last marriage killer that we're going to look at today is content. You see, most people don't understand contempt. But they know criticism. Criticism is more common, but that doesn't make contempt less of a marriage killer. While criticism looks at your flaws and your faults, contempt looks down on you as inferior. Contempt is not disagreement. Contempt is disrespect. Disdain. Contempt belittles you. Contempt means you are not what you think you are. So most times people understand criticism is criticizing me, but contempt is not looking at your flaws or your faults. Contempt is looking at you as inferior, as basically lower than they are, lower than his family is. So contempt is not disagreement, which is common. Contempt is disrespect, disdain, a totally different thing. Contempt breeds resentment, a root of resentment. And research shows that one of the sure things that bring divorce is contempt. So contempt is something that must be addressed in any marriage where contempt is a constant. Of course, once in a while, when people disagree or when people have agreements, they could say things that sound like there's contempt. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about constant contempt that means constantly that you are less than you are or less than you think you are, that breeds and demonstrates disrespect, disdain, and inferiority towards your mate, towards your partner, towards your spouse. That's a sure marriage killer. And if it's not killed, it can kill any marriage. If you think I missed any important point, I'll be glad if you put it down in the comments so that all of us can benefit from it. If you're a returning viewer, don't forget to subscribe. If you are new to this channel, my name is JP Ford. See you in the next one.